Brodes Media.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on into the Day After Pod. So, real quick, I am recording this Monday at 5 p.m. What I'm not going to do is wait until Monday Night Football is over. We obviously are waiting to see who our opponent is going to be, whether it's the Rams or the Vikings. But I have so much to still talk about in regards to what happened against Green Bay that knowing the opponent now wouldn't really make me move into, all right, we got to break down how we match up against Team X. I'm not there yet. We'll get there, trust me. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it'll happen. I'm just not there now. So having that information at this particular time of talking on a Monday Day After Pod, I don't need it yet. So that's number one. Number two, the playoffs are different. Style points don't matter. The way you win and how it looks, it doesn't always tell the full story. Do I believe that's the passing game we are going to get every single time they play in the playoffs? No. The fact that they could win when you have a passing game so ugly is what separates you from most. Because there's not many teams out there that get a second chance when your offense struggles to move the ball with all of those turnovers. That's not the norm. Your quarterback, too, is probably, knowing the passing game isn't working and clicking as well as you would like, probably forcing issues, probably putting the ball in harm's way to try to do everything in their power to make something happen when it might not necessarily be there. That's not what Jalen does, and that's part of his IQ that needs to be highlighted big time. You may not like it, but it's the truth. I bet you 85% of younger quarterbacks try to do way more than they should when things aren't working as beautifully as you want them to, because you want to fix them and you want to be part of the solution. And you want that to be a narrative that changes is, hey, I can thread the needle. Hey, I can pass 50-yard bombs. Hey, my passing game isn't terrible. Shut the fuck up. And then that leads to a couple of interceptions and some ugly turnovers. You don't get that from Jalen. And while it is not pretty, I think this is what you need to know on top of the playoffs looking differently. Wins, physicality, toughness. The game changes this time of the year, and you're not really going to see this magical, insane, just beautiful, no mistakes style of football. That's not what January is all about for the most part. It's going to get awkward. It's going to get rough. Teams are going to have answers. Then it's on you to answer their answers, and bang, 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 bang. You're going back and forth. Your defense, you may have to coach through your defense. And you may hear that and instantly go, well, that's not going to work. Not true. I think we live in an era, and it's starting to change more now that you see the contract given to Saquon, Josh Jacobs, who was definitely a nice move for the Packers. And you just see the way teams are more willing to run the rock with Derrick Henry in Baltimore, Christian McCaffrey with the 49ers. There is an element where it's not as, hey, let's just move the ball in the air 24/7 and only focus on the passing game. It's starting to move full circle again. I also believe that you can be dangerous and you can win a Super Bowl because of your defense being the team's brand. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl with Spags' defense, and because Pat Mahomes has a history of lethal play, you remember Pat Mahomes, and he did stuff in timely fashion, and he made plays when needed, hobbling with one leg. And I'm not going to forget those plays that he made. You don't win the Super Bowl without Spags and that defense. You just don't. I don't think it's ludicrous to enter the divisional round thinking the defense is what is going to carry us. And if you shift your mentality to that, I believe it can do wonders. The passing game won't be that hideous every time. They can provide more, and I expect them to provide more. You can't get A.J. Brown one reception. You can't barely target A.J. Brown and look more in Jahan Dotson's way. So they will clean that up, and they will make sure that A.J. has a chance to take over more so than what we just watched Sunday afternoon. That doesn't mean, though, that you can't lean on your defense to be your bread and butter. For the most part, when you watch teams go, they have something about them that makes them unique, that gives them an advantage, that is their strength. And I think we're so blinded by it normally being, hey, you're good because you have player X and Y. And player X and Y happens to live on the offensive side of the ball, and you're able to produce offensively and win because you can score 35 points in a game to win. Well, what if we hold you to 12? What if we hold you to 17? What if our juggernaut, right, our force that we are, what if it's instead of, wow, the Philadelphia Eagles are so mind-numbingly elite because they can score 40, and Ben Johnson is so creative and so savvy, all they do is dial up this great 30-yard bomb downfield whenever they need it, on clutch third downs, on big fourth downs when they grab their nutsack and go, and they have the attitude that we will shove the ball down your throat and open up plays with play action, and it's going to be crazy. All right, that's sexiness. We just have it on our defense, and what's the problem if that's the case? By the way, another running team, the Detroit Lions, with their two-back system. So the nature of it's all changing. I don't think we need to be as glued to it needs to be so amazing in the passing game. It needs to be better in the passing game. It doesn't have to be so amazing, because what we provide that other teams can't provide is a defense that can hold you to under 20 points. A defense that can hold you to under 17 points. That's the difference. You got to move forward with the realization that this team operates through their defense. And while you may have never thought in a billion years like that was going to be the way that it went, it doesn't matter. It's the truth. And it sets you up where you can win a championship with a defense this good, with a quarterback that doesn't turn the rock over, and a running back that was on a historic pace to be the best running back in NFL regular season history, with the best offensive line in the league. It's a recipe that works. Because I heard it all today. Jalen this, Jalen that. Jalen's holding this team back. This, that, the third. You have the best offensive line in the league. You have the best running back in the league. You have the best defense in the league. That can win a Super Bowl. It doesn't mean you can't criticize certain areas of the team. I look at it differently, though. I say, how many squads can win a game when it was that rough, where for 2 quarters you can't even complete a pass? After starting the game off hot as hell, hitting Dotson in the back of the end zone, completing 100% of your passes, what are the odds when it flips so dramatically? You have timely drives whenever you need it. Here's Green Bay scoring. Here's the Eagles scoring. Here's the Eagles needing a 7+ minute drive in the fourth quarter to suck half the quarter off the board. They do. And they go up 2 possessions while they're at it. It's a big deal. Now, Dan Orlovsky made his way all over ESPN this morning, watching the film and giving plenty of examples on how the design and the concepts of these plays had nowhere for Jalen to go. And this is where I'm conflicted with that. When you can't get a completion in the passing game for a billion minutes of the action, I got to imagine it's more than just concepts. That's too long. You're saying there's not ever a play where someone is open? At the same time, going that long without any completions, doesn't there have to be something fundamentally wrong for you not to accidentally get a completion? And he showed a bunch of different examples of how Green Bay knew where all the routes were. Guys were covered and you know, the defender was on him like sticky glue, whatever the hell it's called. A hot glue gun, sticky, stuck to him. I don't know what I'm looking for. Screen pass, no chance. Looking for AJ, no chance. Devontae covered, no chance. I believe that gives Jalen a cop-out. I'm not really that thrilled with Kellen Moore. I think he's fine. I don't think he's guru. So if Mike McCarthy, who did leave Dallas, ends up going to Chicago or any other spot in the league, and Dallas wants to pick up Kellen Moore for a spot, well, go ahead. I don't need Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore has underwhelmed more than he has overwhelmed me with some of the stuff he dials up. I think he's fine, though. I think he's an NFL offensive coordinator. In a way, I almost feel, and by no means do I think he's Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio's been around forever. But Vic Fangio is just a solid, sound DC who can survive in this league for years and years and years as a good, structured defensive coordinator. And you're in a good spot when he's there, for the most part. He's had a lot of different stops and a lot of different ups and downs throughout that process. He had a chance to have the big headset on, but he's a good DC. I wouldn't be shocked if Kellen Moore was a good, long-tenured offensive coordinator in this league, but I don't think he brings the wow factor either. How much of that is Jalen Hurts holds him back from things he wants to do? That opens up a whole nother discussion. I did watch him go under center, drop back, make a beautiful throw to Devontae Smith for about 10, 11-yard gain for the first down as he pulls Devontae Smith out of bounds, moves the chains nicely, and Tom Brady was raving about that one. Oh, man, this is what you see at the combine. This is what the guys who review the tape and all the scouts at the combine want to see, and not many guys can make that throw. And Jalen, boom, did it under center perfectly. Mwah. So do with that information what you will. To summarize this first portion of the show here, though, as I went many different ways down weird paths, it's okay to commit to the defense being who you are, the defense setting the tone, and winning games because your defense is playing at an unbelievable level. Look, they're not just stopping teams. This is insanity. I mean, they're turning the ball over with 3 interceptions. I heard Ruben Frank bring it up. The last time they had an interception in the postseason was Cravon LeBlanc. My man, ski mask Cravon, in the game against the New Orleans Saints when Alshon Jeffrey dropped that pass from Nick Foles where we thought we had another miracle journey in us. And then in this game, we get 3. You're creating 3. Not 1. You know how big 1 turnover is in a playoff game? See, the Jalen Hurts haters wouldn't take his Super Bowl performance 2 years ago because he had 1 turnover. Yet in this game, it was rough. Doesn't turn the ball over at all, still keeps the team in good positions and has timely drives that mattered. And now turnovers aren't viewed the same way. Why? If you felt that turnover is what destroyed the Super Bowl and you're throwing away all of those incredible passes and him balling out and outperforming and outdueling Pat Mahomes in 2022, when you throw that all away because the 1 turnover hurt them, then you have to keep that same energy and importance on turnovers in games when he doesn't have them. Because he was ugly throwing the ball. No turnover still puts the team in a position to win. Not every quarterback does that. I'm telling you, they force things. They want to be a part of the solution. Then they start doing some uncharacteristic stuff, and now you're definitely putting your team in harm's way. So anyway, we'll continue talking about this puppy, and we have a bunch of your phone calls as well to get to. First, though, hey, how about my friends over at DraftKings? Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? You bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code BRODES. That's code BRODES for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Remember, all lines and odds are subject to change, but of course, take a look here at all the NFL playoffs that are available for us in this upcoming week on top of college football. Do not be a fool. Get yourself in the game. Okay. So, where else are we? The physicality. I just can't get enough of it. I listened to Nick Sirianni's day after presser, and he was asked just about the way this team goes, the way this team attacks, the way this team plays with that intensity. And he goes, yeah, we drill in them every day. The good, the bad, the ugly. We make sure it is a focus that we want to be that team. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it's just about the idea of you setting the tone, you being the force, you bringing the edge, you being way tougher than the other team. Listen, when you do that, at some point the other team breaks down. And when you go back and watch some of the plays that occurred, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Reed Blankenship, they were nasty out there. And I didn't catch how nasty it was, even with guys dropping like flies. In the moment, I don't know if I caught it as much as I did throughout the second watch, but that second watch, it almost, because I did go into it with the idea of, all right, here's a few things I want to monitor. Jalen in the passing game, the defense, can you win a Super Bowl with that version of a defense? Yes, yes, yes. Also, just the attitude and the Burks play to start it off on special teams, the crack of the helmet, the slow-mo, the replay, that feeling that you have where your instant reaction as a human is, oh, man, everybody did that. The second you saw Burks lay the hit, prior to seeing the football loose, we all jump out of our seat and clench our buttholes because you know how bad that hurt. You know, like, damn, oh! That's how the game started. The Green Bay Packers got mauled and out-physicaled by a large, large margin. That's what this team does on the O-line and the D-line. Here's Jordan Davis, by the way. All right, Jordan Davis's stats. Eagles defensive lineman Jordan Davis played 12 snaps against the Packers. Josh Jacobs had 8 carries for 25 yards, which is 3.1 yards per carry with Jordan Davis on the field. When he wasn't on the field, Jacobs had 10 carries for 56 yards, which is 5.6 yards per carry. You put that big man in the middle, you put that dude right there, and he swallows up so much space to the point where Josh Jacobs, 2.5 yards per carry less when Jordan Davis is in there. It's a big man. especially when you're gearing up to go up against an offensive line that is sort of in shambles and being pieced together by tape. Scotch tape at that. No tough tape, all right? Gorilla glue. Was that what I was thinking of before? Gorilla glue? I don't know. I love watching this defensive line. I love watching Nolan Smith. I love watching Darius Slay. That interception was beautiful. That was as pretty gets for a older corner running down the sideline toe to toe and turns his head around and boom, right in the breadbasket. Excellent. This defense is so ridiculous. All right, now I'm just scrolling at a couple of bookmarks, so we're bouncing all around here. I bookmarked this from John Gruden, who does a lot of stuff on Barstool now. I'm sure you all seen it. Dave Portnoy and John Gruden talked about A.J. Brown reading the book on the sideline. And I really don't care about it. I didn't think a lot of people in this town really grabbed onto it. I saw some national media reporters or analysts have a little bit more to say on it. I haven't heard too much locally, just because if A.J. Brown does this all the time and highlights it and reads throughout the good and the bad, as he says he does, then there's really not much to the story. But John Gruden, listen to him explaining how he would, I don't know, just not how he would handle this, but just the situation.
Coach, if you're out there coaching and you look back and you got your star wide receiver reading Moby Dick on the sidelines when you don't have the football,
Yeah.
what do you do in that situation?
I don't know. I'm speechless on that, Dave. I have no idea what the hell's going on, who's monitoring the sidelines, but they might as well bring an English professor down there to teach class. It made me sick letting a receiver do that during a game. I don't care who it is. But now, I go back. Go ahead.
What if he said, that's what I thought, and then you read it, you saw the book, and the book has come out now. The book is basically a self-help book on how to stay in the moment and be Does that change it? Like he's trying to stay locked in by reading a little passage here in his book, or there's no reading on a Gruden sideline?
No, I'm just learning these things. There's no props allowed on the field. If you have a touchdown, you can't pull out a cell phone or a Sharpie, and you can't read a book on the sidelines. It just can't happen. Roger Goodell, somebody in the league office needs to make a note of this. I saw Jim McMahon with a headband. You can't do that. You certainly can't be reading literature during a football game. That's not right.
You can't be reading literature during a football game. I was dying laughing at that. So that's unbelievable. All right, so let's tie a bow on this other part of the show, which off the rails again. This time of the year, it's cliche to say this. I don't know if this is properly describing it the way I want. But the cliche is the no style points thing at this time of the year. The road to Super Bowls are never just put your hand in the dirt, you win by 30, and then you roll up to the next opponent and win by 30. You roll up to the next opponent, you win by 30. Hell, one of the Super Bowls won by the greatest quarterback of all time and Tom Brady. What was the final score against the Rams? I don't even remember. 13-9, 13-3, 9-3, whatever it was. Win. And there is something about this team, their makeup, and that's all they do. So if there is a world where we line up against Detroit and we have to go on the road and you wonder if the passing game can beat that team, that depleted team, by the way. Green Bay does have a good defense, all right? This Lions team, not to get too far ahead, but they have 37,583 guys on the IR. Maybe naturally just based off of personnel and lack of talent, your passing game can look smoother against an opponent like that, and your defense can stop a Ben Johnson-led team and have them maybe only score 21. And if you make that Jared Goff-led offense only score 21, can you score more than that? I don't think it's crazy. How many points did they score against this Packers team? 22. Bang, would have won by 1. What do you know? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's long-term thinking. But stop worrying about how it looks, because playoff football is never about how it looks. It's just not. A lot of these teams that win, look, Baker Mayfield has a rough fumble there, and Daniels makes a very big play to make it happen, but the Commanders needed Baker Mayfield just to screw up with a random generic handoff for you to even be in that position, because they just fucked up themselves and shot themselves in the foot. The Commanders needed that to even have a chance. So leading up to that point, they were desperately waiting for the other team, not even to force them to make the mistake, but they just vomited all over themselves. But that's what they needed to even have a shot to get it in the end zone there late. And to their credit, they did. And I know the Eagles have struggled to pounce off of turnovers as much as we would like to shine down on the first one that happened with Dotson and the touchdown. Yeah, you left a lot of meat on the bones. But I feel if you give this team more opportunities to do it, they will improve in that passing game. And the fact that you have a team that can win even with a passing game like that tells me more positives than negatives, and I'm not going to shy away from that. All right, I'll stop yapping. I'll let you guys do some talking here. Let's go to Malcolm in Georgia.
Hey, Brodes, Malcolm in Georgia. Did it look like Zach Bourne interfered on that long pass to the end zone and Quinyon intercepted? Oh, well. How great was it to have Dallas Goedert back in the lineup? Boy, was he huge or what? So it wasn't the prettiest thing. I mean, sometimes the offense looked good, sometimes the defense looked good, but then there were times where they just looked pathetic and maybe lethargic, weren't tackling right, the passing game wasn't on the money. But hopefully this is a game where, hey, they're back, they got it out of their system, they've won, now they move on, they'll be juiced up all week, and they can come out and be the machine that we know that they can be. Go Eagles. Looks like Super Bowl, baby.
I appreciate it, Malcolm. I saw a lot of Packers fans unhappy with maybe what was going on in the end zone there prior to the interception late, but whatever. I don't really care too much about that. Here's something, though, because you say lethargic, you mentioned pathetic, you say things about the passing game, and all valid, but how much of this is, and we talked about it all week prior to this game, all week before this game began, we asked the question, is it possible Jalen has some rust that he needs to get off, whether it's reading the defense, whether it's timing the throws? Look, you had Calcaterra make a ridiculous catch over by the sidelines. It wasn't a perfectly thrown ball, but your skill position player made a catch for him. Goddard had two. The touchdown play was not a good throw, and he sort of fixed his body, he made the catch, and then he was able to go upfield and stiff arm 5 times before getting to the end zone. The one-handed grab from Dallas Goedert as well was a good one. So even through some of his completions, the ball wasn't perfectly timed, and we knew AJ missed practice, we knew Devontae Smith missed practice, so I'm not making excuses, but reality is our quarterback did not play football for a month, and then he went into a playoff game. So playoffs alone are a different animal. Playoffs alone are a different beast, and the intensity rises and the speed of the game shifts, and it takes a bigger step forward, and the notch is different. So, if you were in rhythm and you got to the playoffs, there's an adjustment. There's a curve that needs to happen just with the speed of the game, let alone someone who missed an entire month. And here's the issue with Jalen. Seriously. Jalen has these games, which then the Jalen Hurts haters jump all over him for. And then he has the games where he looks like the MVP again. And that's the frustrating part, is it seems to be a little too inconsistent. And I'll acknowledge that as someone who appreciates Jalen and his skill set that he provides for us. He did make some plays in the running game, and with the concussion stuff, you still needed to see that element be a force. And there were a couple of times where it was bang, bang, where he was deciding Saquon or not. He keeps it, and you can see the defender was lost and went with Saquon, and he just slipped it right by, and he kept it, and then he gained maybe 4 or 5 yards. So his ability to run, still very important to this offense. And whenever it gets like this, and then the majority of people who hate him get loud, he tends to shut them up too. This isn't the passing game always. It just happens though. And the thing is, you can survive when it happens because of other areas of your team. And then you can also, maybe a week later, get the beautiful Jalen, or even just the above average Jalen. And he gives it to you. And when he does, it's remarkable and it's tremendous. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see it soon here, because he tends to kind of have that response. He does seem to respond to the critics, to shut them all up. Does happen. All right, let's go to Carmen.
What rust? What rust? Well, to be fair, I will say, passing-wise, Jalen didn't have the best game. But rushing-wise, I didn't see any rust at all. I saw the same old-fashioned Jalen Hurts we all know and love. Only complaint I have for this game, Brodes, is that I kind of felt like maybe a lot of people feel this way, that we let the Packers hang in for way too long. This should have been a game going into the fourth quarter. The way we had them, we should have had control, in my opinion, throughout the entire game. We shouldn't have let them hang around. But regardless, about the Small Victory Bowl, on to the divisional round. Let's go Birds.
Nothing like that Victory Bowl, baby. I don't think this is the Jalen we always have. And I do think there's rust. Perfectly timed there. That was not by design. I think there was rust. I don't think it's crazy to say that there could have been some rust. They're just in the flow of things. It's just the nature of the beast. I don't care what you do. If I didn't do this, I couldn't imagine taking a month off of sports talk radio. It's in my blood, damn it. If I took a month off and then got thrown back into the fire 4 weeks from now, when it was, I don't know how to really make it equivalent to playoff football, playoff sports talk radio. I don't know how exactly to do that. But if I took a month off and then was in some version of a competitive sports talk radio debate, I'd probably be a little discombobulated going in and out of breaks. Maybe my teases wouldn't be sharp. Maybe going to the calls, talking over the caller, and I'd have a little issue maybe on when to hang up, the timing of the caller. Maybe I'd go too long with an interview. Maybe I wouldn't be super clean and super crisp. My point is, I'm only using that as an example because that's my field of work. But no matter what your field of work, if you're an electrician and you took a month off, if you were if you were a boxer and you took a month off, there are things that just are human nature where if you take a month off, you're probably not going to be as crisp as you want to be and need to be for the first time you were back on the field. In regards to wanting to put them away earlier, I think they didn't because of the rust. Also, though, and I'm just asking the question, is that the nature of postseason ball? The teams are better. The blowouts aren't as normal. It's just how it goes. Better opponents. Teams are hanging in there. And really, if Saquon was to take that one to the house for 70-plus yards or whatever the hell it was, we would have won by 20. It would have been, 29-10? Would have almost been 30-10. Would have been a 20-point blowout. Perception probably changes a little bit on that. I don't think that's crazy to say. But the Victory Bowl, I'm sure, was fantastic. All right. I have a couple other things here, though, and maybe I'll save that for a little bit of tomorrow's show as well. All your phone calls, again, I love you. 856-442-9805. It's 24/7. You can call whenever. I see all the calls lined up. We will continue taking those throughout the show. And also, Garage Beer. DrinkGarageBeer.com. Don't worry about no IPAs, all right? 0% IPA, 100% quality, 1,000%. Nope, 0% IPA, 100% light beer, 1,000% quality. That's it. And it's just the best. It's the best light beer to ever touch my lips. So drinkgaragebeer.com. You're not going to want to miss out on the best beer on the planet. I'll stop talking now. We'll wrap this puppy up. And I just want to say thank you. You guys are fantastic. I love you more than anything in the world. What a victory. Can't wait to continue talking Eagles playoff football throughout the week. Let me know your thoughts all down below. And I will talk to you all on the next one.